But you were well planned. Huh? So you were well prepared.
I'd like to call the Maumelle City Council meeting to order. The first order of business is the invocation and pledge of allegiance. I've asked Councilmember John Vaperzan to lead us in that tonight.
Heavenly Father, we love you. We thank you for the opportunity to come to you tonight, for the health and strength that you provided for us for this day. And in a world of uncertainty, we best place our faith in you. We don't have to thrill in the circumstances, but we can thrill in the fact that you're in control. Thank you for your Son and all that he's made available to us. Bless what we do here this evening. We pray for your wisdom. We pray for clarity, for the best for our citizens and for those who we serve, for our nation, for our leadership, for our military. We ask that your hand will be upon them and guide them and direct them and protect them in a way that only you can. Bless again the proceedings here this evening, and may you be honored with all we say and all we do. For it's in Jesus' name I ask it. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is special guests and announcements, and we have none of those tonight. Next item is approval of the minutes of the August 7th regular meeting. All the council members have a copy of those minutes in their packet. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the August 7th minutes. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Next item is public comment, and I have about 6 comment cards that are on an item that is not on the agenda, and so that item is coyote trapping. And so at this time we will hear from those, but I actually had received an email earlier in the day from one of the council members requesting that Ms. Kavanaugh be here to answer the questions regarding coyote trapping. And so first we'll call on Ms. Rita Kavanaugh, and then we'll hear from the citizens that have filled out the comment cards. And Ms. Kavanaugh is the manager of our Animal Services Department.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
If you
What can I tell you?
just tell them a little bit about the process with the trappers and what's going on that, if you
Okay.
could, and then I think you may have something to show the council. So.
Okay. I started getting calls about last March of the sightings of coyotes, and I've got about 15 sightings since to date. We did have a couple of dogs that were killed, we believe, by coyotes within the last couple of months. And so we did looked at contracts and looked at different people that would contract with us, and I believe we selected a vendor, and we went out and set traps today. We didn't, but he went out and set traps today. We are not. It's the first. I really have no expertise here whatsoever, and but I understand that some of the pets have been. We've had at least 2 confirmed reports of pets that we believe that have been attacked by the coyotes.
Okay, and the question is what kind of trapping that the trapper was going to use?
They're considered humane traps. One is a claw trap, and one is a snare trap. They're considered humane, and I have those with me. If you would like for me to show them to you,
You would show them to the council, yes, ma'am. It's when she says claw, it's not a claw like teeth on it or anything like that. It's a foothold trap or a paw hold trap is what it's called.
this is the snare, and they bury this somehow under the ground or attach it to a tree, and it pulls only so far, so it can't go but so far, so it doesn't choke the coyote out, so it's considered live humane trapping. And this is the snare.
Okay.
This is the leg hold, and I believe they bury this part into the ground, and it opens. I really
Don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know how to do it.
Don't do it.
But I did let him close it on my hands, and it wasn't painful, but he did say it would hold the coyote in position until he could get the coyote. But this is the actual snare, foot snare. It's considered humane trapping. It's not the jaw steel stuff you used to hear about.
Okay. All right. I've got a couple of lights from council members.
Okay.
Councilmember Vapurzian?
Kevin, do you know how many and maybe what locations the traps are in?
I have I do not know where the traps are. I do not know. I just asked him to try and stay off private property and to put them on the city greens. And I said about 12 of them was the hope.
And how often do you know he'll check them?
He's going to check them frequently, is what he told me.
Thank you.
Councilmember Anderson?
Thank you, Mayor. Same kind of question. Alderman or Councilmember Vapurzian. I wondered how often that he was checking those traps.
He told me often, so I take that to mean every few hours.
Yeah, I wonder if we could get a more definite time frame.
I can find out.
Because it's 100 degrees outside, and if
We don't want to be inhumane.
right, exactly. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for Ms. Kavanaugh? Councilmember Holt? No, ma'am, we're not going to ask the audience. There is no interaction with the audience. You will be given 3 minutes to speak if you filled out public comment cards.
I'll just ask the one question as to, are you aware of how broad the area may, I live in Rolling Oaks, very north side, and that park and soccer field, any sightings that you're aware of on that side of town?
I have a list that the people have called in. I could read you that list.
I would like to see it.
Okay.
I'll come by the office.
Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I don't believe there's any north of Emerald Drive is where the area, I know there's one on Emerald Drive on that list, but that'd be the closest that I think would be to your neighborhood.
Yeah, I just wanted coming down that
Okay.
creek and everything down through there if they might do that. I appreciate it.
They're staying mainly by the river, aren't they?
Well, I'm not going to say that. It's not mainly by the river. They've been spotted all over. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for Ms. Kavanaugh? If not, thank you, Ms. Kavanaugh. All right. I've got, I think, like I said, 5 or 6 comment cards, and if you would, please state your name and address for the record, and you will be given 3 minutes to make a public comment. Ms. Patricia Grant.
Suffering from eclipse sunburn here. I'd rather have gone last, but since I'm first, I'm first. Patricia Grant, 19 Nimrod Cove. What really bothers me in this is that we have jumped all the way from the coyote attacks of the animals, which really, it hurts the owners, and I understand this. But we've gone all the way from the attacks to now it's the citizens we're worried about, that the citizens are going to be attacked. And what we've gone all the way to the citizen attack. We're going straight to trying to remove coyotes. What we really need to do is education of our public of how to remove the temptation. The coyotes are coming because the temptation are the animals. And so we have to limit the temptations they're coming from. If the animals are in the backyard, they see them as easy picking. So we started this off well. We put it on Facebook, things to limit the temptation. We didn't go far enough. Things like if you have to have your animals in the backyard, they need to be in a pen, and a pen that has a top and a bottom and 4 sides. If a coyote jumps into your backyard, it can't get into a pen. The temptation, you limit the temptation. Just like if you have a human predator that wants to break into your house, what do? You close your garage, you lock your car. If the temptations are limited, the predator moves on. This is what we do. It's education. The word coexistent is not a kumbaya word. It's what we do, we educate. We have to live with this nature. We cannot blow it up. We cannot destroy it. We try our best to coexist. We cannot destroy all these coyotes to get rid of them. We can't cherry pick them out. I listened to the Vimeo last week. The young lady picked out incidents I could pick out incidents of how coyotes are the most wonderful creatures in the world. That doesn't do any good. The only thing we can do is educate ourselves how to live with these animals appropriately. That's all I got. There's a site called coexistence.com. On it is a lot of good educational ideas of how to live with these animals and not spend $3,000 using deadly things like this to have to get rid of them. We learn how to live with the animals. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grant. Ms. Robin Apple.
I'm Robin Apple. I live at 61 Ophelia Drive almost 40 years now. I have a background in wildlife. My major in college was fisheries and wildlife management. I hold a rehabilitation permit from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. I've been a rehabber all my life. And I have personal experience because my family owns about a 1,000-acre farm on which we grow row crops and cattle, and we personally have had a lot of experience with predatory and behavioral aspects of coyotes. I disagree with the vote that the council took last week, and I have to apologize for not being here to voice my concerns at the time, but the commute from Little Rock took longer than I had to get here and fill out a card and appear, so I'm here now. Coyotes are territorial animals. I don't know how much scientific information the board has or the general public. I doubt it's a lot. But if you trap animals out of a territory is generally held either by a solitary animal, a mated pair, or a pack. Packs only hunt in packs when they are after large prey like a deer. Normally you're going to see the solitary animal or a mated pair. Generally they hunt alone. As the previous speaker said, you do have to exercise caution and common sense, and you can avoid a lot of these issues. Don't leave pet food and water sources, scraps, and trash outside that will encourage these animals to visit your yard. That in itself would prevent a lot of this interaction and conflict. There are noise makers that you can employ successfully to frighten them away if you see them in your vicinity. I don't know how many people have actually witnessed the death of their pets by coyotes. Maybe some have, but there are other predators in the area that could be responsible for some of the predation of the pets. Raccoons, for example, are pretty dangerous animals, and they're plentiful around here, as you know. I don't think these traps are a good idea, not only because it's going to be a large expense to the city. I don't think it will be effective because the coyote population, as we used to say in microbiology, is TNTC, too numerous to count. And if you remove one, a pair, even a pack, more are going to move in and take over the territory pretty quickly. So these traps that have been discussed, they are considered humane, but if I was also an officer of the Arkansas Wildlife Federation. The Arkansas Trappers Association was one of our affiliates, and I'm pretty familiar with trapping methods after my association with those members. Even in the instance of these snare traps, wild animals are not used to being immobilized. And in fear and desperation, they've been known to chew off appendages, even limbs, to escape. I don't think that's a very humane method to use. I don't want to see coyotes in this area euthanized. you have no way of knowing if the coyote that you've caught is the culprit. I'm sorry?
Need to wrap it up. You got 4 minutes, please. Okay.
Well, I have more information than I can convey in 3 minutes. If anybody is interested in knowing more, I can fill you in. I've done a lot of research on the matter, and so I'll be glad to talk to whoever is interested in learning more about coyote behavior.
Thank you, Ms. Apple. Ms. Rena Peterson.
Rena Peterson at 109 Harmony Loop. I'm a little confused, first of all, Mayor. Are we having Animal Services do the trapping, or I thought we were going to hire a company to do that?
We did hire a company to do that.
So what's she doing with is she the company?
She's not the company. She's our manager of Animal Services.
Okay.
She brought the traps because one of the council members asked to see the traps.
Gotcha. So the company we hired, do we not have a say-so on what kind of trapping that they're going to do? Can we not have live trapping versus snare trapping? It's our money that we're using, right? So don't we have a say-so of what kind of trapping you're going to use?
Well, and I guess we do, but there's extra costs if you do the live trapping in the big boxes, and that's not very successful in coyotes.
Okay. I was going to state some facts about coyotes, but you guys can get on a couple of websites. Like Patricia Grant said, the coyotecoexistence.com is a very well website you can look at, and urbancoyoteinitiative.com. I think that is a big problem here, Maumelle, is that people in an urban setting are not fully knowledgeable about coyotes. A lot of them have the idea of if you see them during the day, that they're growing overly bold or they're ill in some way. That is not true. They naturally hunt during the day, but when there's a people presence, they will be mostly active at night. And there are more sightings than what you have stated. I'm not going to say where, but if we've had 2 animals die, supposedly from coyotes, we're talking 10% or less. And I just disagree for the money that's put toward trapping these coyotes because they're very territorial. If you kill one, they mate for life, first of all. If you kill one, other coyotes are going to come in and take over that territory. And if you don't provide food for those coyotes, they will leave. They are part of the ecosystem. They balance it out, and I just find it ironic. Several years ago, we put fake coyotes out at Lake Willistine and in our public golf courses because we wanted to get rid of the geese. And now we have too many coyotes, and now we want to get rid of them. I just drove by Lake Willistine. There was a couple dozen geese there, and there was a dozen over at the fire department. So that's not a whole lot. I think the coyotes are balancing everything out. We just need to give them some space and let them live here in the Maumelle area. And I just want to state make a statement here that I had on the Nextdoor app. We have all been a threat to the wildlife here on this side of the river for the past 30 plus years, and they're just trying to survive. So if anyone or anything is a threat, it's mankind, and everybody needs to be more careful and responsible with their animals when they are outside, or we wouldn't have this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Mr. Johnny Angel.
I'm Johnny Angel, 140 Oriole Circle. I did a little online research because I wanted to see if I could find some info additional to beyond my personal feelings. Found an article in the LA Times dated January 19th of last year. As a former resident of Southern California, I can tell you they've got coyotes, and wildlife experts state in this article that troublesome behavior is almost always one coyote. Trapping is going to catch the dumber animals, and you're going to be left with the smarter ones. More coyotes will move into vacated territory, if you kill the alpha female, non-breeding females will begin to breed. And the article suggested don't leave out food, which includes fallen fruit, uncovered compost heaps, scattered bird seed. The coyote is an extremely successful animal, and he can eat just about anything. I also went to another site called Project Coyote, and there they stated, removing a group of territorial coyotes will create an undefended area into which transient coyotes will move. I think we're building up a pattern here. At times of the year, the numbers of transients are at all times of the year, numbers of transients are immediately available to replenish any voids. And if either the alpha, male or female in a pack is killed, it can result in ovulation in other breeding age females, and now you got more litters. And it just seems like this is a lack of education, and it's a lack of responsibility on the public. The public wants you to solve this for them very easily. They don't want to take care of their pets the way they should. I volunteer with Feline Rescue and Rehome, and I know we've got too many cats, and that's basically because people don't take responsibility for their animals. And that's why we have this issue with the coyotes and why you're going to trap them. You're doing that to satisfy a public that doesn't want to take responsibility, and they need to be educated about this. And I'm really concerned about that one-leg hold trap, as a previous speaker has said. Animals will chew their leg off to get out of things like that. That is not very humane. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Angel. Mr. Charlie Stutz.
Good evening, Mayor, Alderman. My name is Charlie Stutz. I have property at 4 Barber Court in River Run, right by the river. I appreciate all the comments everyone made, and it kind of availed my fears about the trapping. I was a little concerned about steel traps being put out, but that's not going to be the case. So these traps do not appear that they're going to cause the damage that I thought would be happening to the coyote's legs or whomever else might have stepped into one. Coyotes are predators. By my property in River Run, we have a lot of rodents and snakes, and so they feed on them. And there's a delicate balance. There's a delicate balance in the ecosystem, and they're part of that. And I agree with the previous speakers. If we remove one of the sick or dumb ones, there will be another one to take its place. So I would encourage us to work with Arkansas Game and Fish Commission on this issue a little bit. And it appears that there's not going to be any liability issues with a child stepping in a trap or someone is hiking, so forth, around some of these areas. So those are my main concern with the trapping. But I think everyone's doing a good job, best they can to deal with this delicate issue. Naturally, I was saddened to hear some pet owners losing a pet, but in 115 heat index, I would hope that they're inside most of the time and at night, but I know that some people do keep pets outside. Anyway, thank you for your time. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Stutz. That's all the comment cards that I have on this item. I will say that there was a question to get with the Game and Fish. The Game and Fish sent an email to one of the pet owners that lost their pet and said that you should convince the city to trap. So that came from the Game and Fish. If there's no other comments on this item, I don't have any other comment cards that would fall under public comment.
I have a comment if you are entertaining comments from the audience.
You've already smoked, Miss Apple. Do you want to address something that someone...
You just mentioned that
Okay.
someone from Game and Fish had suggested.
But you're going to have to come to the podium if you're going to speak, Miss Apple.
As I said, I'm permitted by the Game and Fish Commission to be a wildlife rehabilitator. Blake Sassy is the director of that particular division. I spoke with him just today. He tells me that he would not have made that suggestion. I've spoken with enforcement. They tell me that they would not have made that suggestion. I've spoken with someone in communications, and they say they would not have made that suggestion. They are apparently in agreement with me that this trapping is an ineffective method of taking care of complaints like we've had in this city against the coyotes. They also agree that the coyotes are too numerous to make a dent in the population. Personally, I don't think we should make a dent in the population, but that's their opinion.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mayor, I've got one thing. Rena Peterson, 109 Harmony Loop. The main reason I got up here is to let you know that, for the record, I don't want trappings in my neighborhood. I have a ravine in the backyard. I have green space. I want to keep it that way. I want to keep my wildlife. So you can put the trappings at Grenoble Circle, Riverwood Cove, down by the river, Norfolk Drive, but not, please, in Pleasantwood subdivision. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, since there's no other comments, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the financial statement review. That's done at the second meeting of each month, and in your packet you have the July financials. We have Ms. Vega is here tonight to present the financials, so would you like to make a statement? Or you've got the PowerPoint.
I have a PowerPoint.
Okay, all right.
But I've never used one of these little
Sure,
things.
you got it. You had it. You had it.
Okay, go to the next one. Okay, so this chart shows what the fund balance is projected to be at the end of the year versus what we had budgeted, and the sanitation fund is 13% less than it was for projected ending balance. The street fund is actually up 4% from the projected budget, and the general fund is down 5%. These funds are very healthy. I'm very happy that of the financials of the city, they're very good. If you look at this, the green, that is what we are required to keep as a minimum in our funds. We actually have $2.8 million in excess. So we have the 2.5, but we also have 2.8. So we're very healthy in that fund. Next slide. Okay, this slide shows our revenue sources, and the two that are up is county millage and county sales tax. Those are both up $32,000 compared to this time last year. And our city sales tax is actually down $157,000, and this is due to an anomaly in last year. The sales tax, we had some big months, and those are due to audits that were done, and the companies having to pay forward their sales tax that they didn't pay, and so that's why we have this anomaly. We also do not have any federal grants at this time. This is showing our street fund and our major revenue sources. The state turnback is up $32,000 compared to last year at this time. Our street aid fund is up $20,000, and we're flat in our county millage compared to last year. In our sanitation fee revenue, we've collected $616,000. We have to give back $65,000 for our dumping, and the balance in revenue that we have is $536,000 to date. This shows our general fund and how we compare to last year at this time. We are $707,000 less in expenditures compared to our budget. We have spent $161,000 more than we spent in the prior year. The largest differences are attributed to the fire and police. The police department had salary increases, and the salary increases along with the corresponding retirement expense is what's driving that increase. The fire department's increase is due to the fire truck that was purchased in June. This is just an overview of our general fund and where our spending is. And you can see from this graph that more than 50% is due to our fire and police protection. This is our general fund. Total to the percentage spent. At this time of year, we would expect to spend 58% of our budget. As you can see, here would be like 58%. The one that is high is Public Works, and that's due to concrete overlays for street improvements. This is our street fund expenditures. Personnel expenditures were down $72,000, and that is due to vacancies. The overall other operating expenses is $230,000 over last year, and that's due to the design services for the third entrance that we're building. This is the sanitation expenses. Personnel is increased due to filled vacancies, and the other operating expenses, it's down $238,000, and this is due to the purchase in 2016 of an automated garbage truck. Any questions?
Councilmember Mosley?
Yes, ma'am. Let's see, you mentioned the fire truck has been purchased and it's reflected in
Yes.
the July financials.
Yes, it was purchased in June.
Okay, because I think last week I asked and it hadn't been reflected yet, but I guess it's in here now.
I can't speak to June financials.
Yeah, it looks like our budget for 2017 is supposedly started the year with almost $5.8 million, and it looks like we're projected to end at $4.1 million. So that's that would leave us with I guess 1.5, 1.6 million over the required amount or something like that by the end of the year.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So our trend is kind of down, but hopefully we'll level off here at this point after.
Yeah, I would expect so.
All righty. Okay, that's all I've got.
Okay.
Any other questions for Ms. Vega?
Well done.
Thank you.
If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the financials for July.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the financials for July. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Next item is the procedural motion. I need a motion from the floor that we read all resolutions and ordinances by title only tonight.
So moved.
We have a motion and second that we read all resolutions and ordinances by title only tonight. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Motion passes. Next item, moving to unfinished business, is the third reading of ordinance number 939, no smoking ordinance for Maumelle Center on the Lake. Madam City Clerk, if you'd read that by title only.
Be it enacted, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 939, an ordinance prohibiting smoking and the use of e-cigarettes on the grounds of Maumelle Center on the Lake.
Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we accept ordinance 939.
We have a motion and second that the council adopt ordinance number 939. I have one public comment card, but they said they may not want to speak, so I'm not sure. Okay, all right. All right. If there's no comments or questions by the council members, Councilmember Holt.
I just wanted to say that since I found out some more information tonight that I didn't know and didn't understand, the prosecution rest. I'm done. It was clarified by the attorney. I didn't know that because of I talked with Ms. Vogler, the extended amount of space and entrance and exits, it requires the ordinance in order to be done, if I've understood the attorney right. So I'm done.
If I may, the question I was asked before the meeting was why are we using an ordinance as opposed to a resolution or just internal policy? I spoke when I mentioned to Councilmember Holt that when I was speaking with the Director of Senior Services that I recommended an ordinance because the request was to make the entire property smoke-free, and the council ultimately has the authority over the properties owned by the city. And because it was a property-wide prohibition was why I requested it be a ordinance. Conversely, I said that if it was just we wanted to say, no smoking right by the doors, that's probably something that department head or the mayor could just create an internal policy on. But because we're talking about the entire property there, that it should come to the council.
Okay. There's no questions or comments regarding ordinance number 939. Roll call vote, please, Madam City Clerk.
Councilmember Holt.
Yes.
Councilmember Vapurzian.
Yes.
Councilmember Timmons.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Kelly.
Yes.
Councilmember Saunders.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosley.
Yes.
Ordinance passes. Next item is the second reading of ordinance number 941 regarding a franchise agreement with Comcast. Madam City Clerk, if you'd read that by title only.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 941, an ordinance authorizing Comcast of Arkansas, Inc., its successors and assigns to operate, maintain, upgrade, repair, and remove a cable system, and provide cable services through the cable system, assessing a franchise fee, providing for the payment thereof, describing the method of collection, and for other purposes.
Okay, this item is on second reading. Ms. Parker Guest is here again in the audience tonight, representing Comcast. If there's any questions for her. Mr. Angel. State your name and address for the record again,
Johnny
please.
Angel, 140 Oriole Circle.
You need to address council.
I'm sorry.
I'm just reading, I'm sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, I was just reading that where it says to operate, maintain, upgrade, repair, and or remove. What is, why do they need permission to remove a cable system?
Once they install it, they would have to remove it. I mean,
So we're talking about their cable system, not somebody else's.
that's correct.
That is correct. It does not authorize them to remove someone else's cable system, but if they install their own, they're not going to come back and request a franchise fee to say move it from one block to the next.
Are they going to be installing the latest, okay, I'm having a senior moment here, the latest cabling?
The fiber optic?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I am very happy to see more competition on this coming into Maumelle.
Thank you very much. If there's no other questions regarding ordinance number 941, we'll move on to the next item, which is new business. Formation of an audit committee. Councilmember Mosley has proposed that, so I'll turn the floor over to Councilmember Mosley.
Okay. Basically, we discussed this a couple of months ago, and at the time, it was voted down, I think 6-2, but I think there were 3 or 4 aldermen that said that they would be in support of going ahead and establishing this if once we had our finance director on board. And so I'm going to bring this up again, and I've gone ahead and indicated some kind of 4 items that would be things we would address, but mainly we just want to make sure that we've done some follow-up on some things and maybe investigate the idea of a legislative audit and a couple other things here. So anyway, does anybody have any questions? Or I'm not going to belabor the thing, but does anybody have any questions?
Councilmember Holt.
Well, of course, I seconded the motion the last time. I would only, for my part, I'm certainly in favor of it. I think that's part of our duties. The regulation is very clear about that. I would, instead of just audit committee, I would like to hear it or have it word oversight committee, because as I spoke to you in your office this week, Mr. Mayor, last week, that to handle issues of any kind that we can sit down and talk about in advance and come back with some kind of a conclusion, present to the council. It's not a big deal. It's just part of our work day, and we could do it in a workshop manner and come back with a recommendation, but do it as an oversight committee rather than just a specific audit committee. But that's my thought. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome, Councilmember Holt.
Okay. Does anybody else, would they rather call it an oversight committee, or it doesn't matter that much to me? I just to me it sounded appropriate to do audit.
Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with Councilmember Holt. Let's do an oversight committee. It's not our job to do the audit. We hire an auditor, we request a legislative audit, and I don't have any problem working with the financial director to determine the validity of any of those allegations that were brought up in that letter. I think that's prudent. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor. So would this go on and forever, this committee, or is this something that we're going to do on a yearly basis, or,
I don't know on that, actually. I figured it'd take a little while. We've got the finance director is going to take her a while, I think, to understand some of the things that were in that letter and maybe form an opinion about them, because we're going to be relying on her heavily. And I know she's got an audit coming up and stuff like that.
So this is just in dealing with the letter and the accusations that were made by the former director. So this committee is.
Well, that, and did you see my memo in the thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's fine. I just was trying to figure out if there's some sort of sunset to this.
Well, there may
committee.
be a sunset. I wanted to investigate the idea of a legislative audit, and maybe after we get that far and tick off some of those other things, we'll
It just fizzle out on its own, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of way I thought. And this would be open to any council member, and nobody has to do it. So it's one of those things, we'll just kind of make it up as we go here, I think, as far as.
And obviously, it will be open to the public to attend.
Right.
Right.
I
Thank
was
you.
thinking about maybe making the first meeting at 6 in the evening. If it works better for people to do it during the day, I'm happy with that. But I was thinking maybe about September 12th, Tuesday or something like that. But tentative.
Okay. I have nothing else. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Anderson. Councilmember Vapurzian.
Mayor, what are the procedures, parameters, costs of a legislative audit? Because I'm somewhat familiar with it, but not like you would be.
Well, I'm not familiar with legislative audit. I've not gone through a legislative audit, but there is no cost, as I understand it.
Just requested. Do we request that, or is that Lowry request that?
I think it has to be requested by a state rep, but I believe that's how it has to be done. But the I believe that way. I don't know, but I don't know enough about them either.
Because
But
I know that he's requested some in the past that were not.
well, he did one for the water department.
Was that approved or was that?
It was not approved by the Legislative Audit Committee. We did approve it here at the council, and we took it there, and they did not approve
Okay,
it.
that's what I
That was calling for a special legislative audit.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is just the annual audit. I'm not actually, at this point, thinking we need a special audit. But I did talk to a legislative auditor, and he said, I think it was just council approval is all it took to do that. And I think they don't cost anything.
Okay.
And they will expand their audit based on things that they've heard or know or have been brought to their attention, I think.
Okay.
And there's no cost. So.
But you can't use that for our bonds.
Right, right.
Yeah.
It has to be certified by CPA. And,
Yeah.
okay. Right.
It's a different type of audit that they do.
Okay.
Can't be used for the bond purposes, so we'd still have to do a separate audit in addition to that, I believe, to meet the bond requirements.
We'll check that out.
Okay, so that'd be something the committee needs to
Something we'll
determine.
check out. This is all kind of new, so. But, yeah, I think we pay over $30,000 now for an audit, annual audit, so.
Sounds right.
Councilmember Saunders?
Thank you, Mayor. I won't go over everything again because at a prior meeting when this topic came up, I tried to explain to everybody the difference between administrative and legislative. There is a fine line difference there. With these as the purpose of the committee, I see a potential we're overstepping our bounds, and I want us to be careful about that. We are legislators. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Saunders. Councilmember Kelly?
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Holt and myself attended during the Municipal League meeting. We attended a legislative audit workshop. Some of the rules are changing as we speak, correct?
Yes, sir.
And they really didn't have a program established at that time when we went through that workshop. They were talking about how things were changing and that we needed to contact the Municipal League in the future and try to get an updated workbook on how the legislative audit works. That's my recommendation. We do that. We can do that as part of the Oversight Committee. I share Councilmember Saunders' view that we're not here to run the budget. I mean, we develop the budget, but we're not here to do the day-to-day finances. That's why we have a financial director. And what I want to do is investigate the ability to request a legislative audit. Maybe it's every third year, maybe it's every fifth year, but maybe not every year. And I think that's what the Oversight Committee could do without getting too deep into the weeds. It's an Oversight Committee.
I don't know all the answers. You know, that's what we're going to look into.
But I do want the allegations that were in that letter outlined by our financial director on what she finds so that we have some answers. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Mosley, you had your light on also, did you?
I may have turned it on to answer if Apperson.
Okay.
We need
all
to
right.
make a motion for this, Mayor, or do we just?
Yeah, there needs to be a motion to form it, yes.
I'll go ahead and make a motion. I'll make a motion. We go ahead and form this oversight, and we'll call it an oversight committee. And then basically include what I've mentioned here as far as the purpose and that sort of thing.
Second.
We have a motion and second to form an oversight committee. Is there any discussion on that motion? I just want to say one thing, and Councilmember Mosley mentioned it because we discussed it. We're about to have an audit. The auditors are actually coming in September, and our budget process also starts. You'll see later on we've got a budget schedule, tentative budget schedule going. So Ms. Vega is going to be very busy, and and Councilmember Mosley and I discussed that. I mean, you're welcome to meet as much as you can, but please bear in mind that she's fairly new, and she's got two other major tasks that she'll be working on during this fall. That's all I ask. September 18th auditors will be here, so
Okay.
that's all I ask.
Bear that in mind. Thank you.
If there's no other questions or comments regarding the Oversight Committee? All those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no.
No.
Motion passes. And I guess, are y'all going to elect a chair at the first meeting, or y'all?
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll ask the city clerk if she would make an announcement. And I was thinking, as I said, September 12th for a first meeting, maybe at 6 o'clock in the evening.
That's a Wednesday night?
It's a Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. Okay. Okay.
September 12th.
And I guess we'll figure out where later.
Okay. I assume the blue room or this room right here, depending on the size of the audience, or?
Yeah.
You thought about that, huh?
One of those two rooms would be fine, yes.
Well, that way it'd be in the same building at least.
It'd be here in
Yeah.
the City Hall building,
be-
yeah.
yeah.
We'd make it a public place, so.
I hope that Councilmember Mosley provides snacks like the city does.
Pizza and barbecue.
Okay. So I guess, so right now it's set for September the 12th at 6 p.m. at City Hall.
Our inaugural meeting.
Okay. And it's open to all the council members, and it's also a public meeting, so the public is invited to attend.
That is correct. You're welcome. Everybody's welcome.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Moving on to the next item is mayor's comments. Just a reminder that the next council meeting is on a Tuesday, not a Monday, due to the Labor Day holiday. So it's Tuesday, September the 5th. I should have known the 12th was on Tuesday then. And so just making you aware of that. So make sure you get that on your calendars. Also, on September the 21st, we have a public hearing. It's a required public hearing regarding our design on the interchange project. That'll be September the 21st at the South Room of the Jess Odom Community Center, and it is from 4 to 7. I believe that's right. Yeah, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. So that is it's not a, as far as I know, there won't be a presentation. It's drop in, look at the maps, look at the document, and then talk to the design engineers at that time. And then the next item is the tentative 2018 budget calendar. So you have a copy of that in your packets also. The budget would be started on the 31st of August, and then it'd go to department heads on the 6th of September, and then get back to the finance director and the mayor on the 20th of September, and then it would be delivered to the council on the 16th of October. And then right now we have meetings scheduled for October the 24th, October the 30th, November the 14th, and November the 28th. And those are tentative. Everybody check their calendars and let me know if there's an issue that y'all foresee, or if we need to do something different on some of those. I tried to avoid Wednesday nights to allow Councilmember Vaperzan to attend church services. I know other people do that also on Wednesday nights, so I tried to avoid those. But I tried to also, when you're trying to avoid Civil Service Commission and you're trying to avoid Planning Commission, and now the Oversight Committee is going to have to avoid these meetings also, or these conflicts. So it's hard to find dates, and I tried to give us time in between in order to make tweaks to the budget also. The first two are close together because that's when the department heads come in typically and present their budgets. So that's fairly close together because there won't be basically any changes in those necessarily. And then the next two are about 2 weeks apart. And subsequent 2 weeks between the third and the fourth one. So look at your calendars, look at these calendars, and if there's some issues, let me know. And then one other item that's on the mayor's comments, I don't know. I know that at least 4 of y'all are aware of it, and I think more than that. But there was a power outage in Maumelle yesterday afternoon. Hear groans from the audience too. But I was in contact with Mr. Hartman all yesterday afternoon, and the last text I got from him was at midnight last night. So we were still communicating. He was actually in Maumelle to talk to the crews and all that, and so he left Maumelle around midnight last night. But he did send me an email this morning. He couldn't be here, but I want to read this email so that you understand what occurred, because social media is great for certain things, but for getting actual information out there, it's pretty difficult sometimes. People reported it was birds in the substation and some other things, but that was not the cause. Thank you for your patience and understanding on this issue. We truly regret any inconvenience that we have caused to our customers in Maumelle, and we'll be working to get those things done that we can to improve this situation. Yesterday, we got caught in a scenario where we had several large outages affecting a large number of customers for different reasons about the same time, all over their area, not just in Maumelle. Some of those messages may have gotten mixed up somehow by our customers due to the timing and responses hitting social media at the same time. In Maumelle, the outage Sunday afternoon happened when a piece of equipment, a recloser, became overloaded and operated. When he says operated, that means it opened and it doesn't stay closed. The outage began at approximately 3:30 p.m., affecting 2,250 customers. The system was reconfigured at that time due to an outage that took place on August the 6th, affecting 800 of the same customers. The outage on the 6th was caused by some underground primary cable that failed. Some switching was done to move load around to get those 800 customers restored during that outage. The load was moved on the 6th to the recloser, which overloaded this past Sunday. Extreme heat for prolonged periods of time caused the load to increase quicker than anticipated, and we'd hoped to have everything switched back to normal prior to that occurrence. Energy has been in the process of replacing this cable since early this year, and the work has not been completed. However, it is scheduled to be finished this week. This is a large section of underground wire, 2,000 feet of large primary wire that is in the ground and will be connected this week at a cost of over $500,000. The outage last night, August the 20th, was dispatched to a serviceman. He was unable to restore power, and a crew was required to troubleshoot and perform switching. The crew was called out. A switching order was prepared and executed, which restored service to approximately 1,500 of those customers at about 7:30 p.m., 4-hour outage for those 1,500. The next step was to determine how to refeed the remaining 750 customers. Our DOC contacted the local engineer familiar with the area and the loads involved and came up with a switching plan to restore service to all customers. This was a more extensive plan and took a while to formulate and execute. It was executed at about 11 p.m. and restored service to all remaining customers. 7.5-hour outage for these 750. Work to replace the original fell cable should be completed this week. Switching order and plans have been developed, and a crew work is planned to begin again tomorrow on Tuesday. I plan to send out a phone dialer message to all the customers that were impacted by these two outages. See below. I can send a letter also if you think that would be appropriate. We plan to post a response on social media. And then again, I apologize for the inconvenience. Jay Hartman. Now, the dialer message is here, but it basically says the same thing, so I'm not going to read that because it's just going to be a robocall that all the citizens that were affected or customers that were affected by that are going to receive. So they were doing what they could. I do know that about the same time we lost power, there was 5,000 customers out in Little Rock, also in West Little Rock. So that's the explanation I have, and I know nothing else. Other than they were out here working, and Mr. Hartman was keeping me abreast by text messages last night, like I said. Planning Commission report will be done at the next meeting. Council member comments? Councilmember Holt?
Just two questions, Mr. Mayor, regarding the trapping. What will be done if indeed we follow through with this? What will happen to the coyotes once they have been trapped? Are they just moved, or what happens in that regard? And after having listened to a number of the well-informed and pretty much educated folks that made very solid points, where do we stand in this? Is this, are we still in motion as to what we were? Is there any alteration or any further discussion, or
Well,
is
as,
there any
as far as I know, we're in a contract with a trapper. We're going to trap for 14 days. And the coyotes will be euthanized when they're trapped. I mean, we signed a contract with the trapper to trap for 14 days.
And after that, then, now that's $13,000. That's $3,000 for that.
No, sir. That's $1,400 plus tax. It's $100 a day is what it costs. And so we were going to reevaluate at that time. The reason we asked for $3,000 is we had quotes all the way up to $200 to do the trapping, and to do 14 days at that rate would have been $2,800 with tax. But that's why the budget resolution. But we took quotes like we always do on any project that's over $1,000, and we got 3 different quotes, and this company came recommended from another animal services department in another city, and so we went with this trapper.
Will we address this again at a future council meeting at some point in time?
Well, I don't understand that. I mean, I may report what we've trapped at a future time, but I guess, so you want to know if we trap in more than 14 days? I guess that's my question back to you.
Well, I guess I'm trying to say, will we, depending upon the results or whatever happens, and indeed the public's continued evaluation of it, will we at some point say, well, we'll discontinue it, or we're going to continue it, or we're going to expand it, or is there any adjustment in flow as we go in one way or the other, up or down?
We won't spend more than $3,000, so we won't trap more than 28 days this year. And right now, I mean, we'll trap for 14 days and see the results we get. We trapped in 2010. Right. We captured 3 at that time. It was stated in the last meeting. We didn't have another problem for 7 years with coyotes. Now, whether it's one coyote that's more aggressive, they formed a pack, I can't tell you. But I've lived here since '96. There's been coyotes around. In fact, one used to hang out in the area of the Senior Wellness Center, the Maumelle Center on the lake. You saw it there every day. It lived behind Kroger until it was hit by a car. So it was there for years, and we never had an issue with. But something's happened because, they're attacking pets, and they're also attacking deer. So that we're pretty sure they attack deer because we're finding carcasses of deer that look like they've been devoured by wild animals. So.
In addition, I hate to keep on going, but in addition to some of the comments that they made about education and about what the local residents, is there anything that the city of Maumelle can do in coordination with the trappers to encourage people to back up and take those precautions? Like they say, they're territorial, and maybe they'll go away if we don't leave something out for them.
We've posted it on Facebook. It's on our website. I mean, we continue to make citizens aware that they need to be responsible pet owners. And it's there. I mean, we did that back in, I believe it was July is when we did that, I believe it's July, 1st of July, 7th of July, something like that, when that was posted on our website and our Facebook page. But one of the attacks still occurred after that. And I mean, we'll do 14 days and see what we have. And we'll report back to the council at that time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Mr.
If there's no other comments, I'm sorry. No other city council comments? We'll go to Mr. City Attorney.
No, sir.
Madam City Clerk.
No, sir.
If there's no other comments, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no.